Welcome to another Brand Matters podcast. And this time it's all about growth marketing via hyper-personalization at scale. So we are talking different topics. First, we'll be talking about how AI is actually changing the game with all of the growth experiments via automation. And we will also talk about the various tools that are currently out there that are bringing all this human and machine collaboration and the different types of personalization at the top, mid, and bottom funnel. We will also touch on in-product personalization if time permits, because it weaves in very nicely with the growth and the hyper-personalization for SaaS. And to unravel all this intelligence today around hyper-personalization, I have with me Saranya Babu. She's a serial CMO in the Valley across multiple startups, leading and expanding product-led growth motions for MarTech, API first, and now AI first startups. So she's that unique blend of, I would say, a technologist, a marketer, and a product expert, right? And currently, she is a GM for one of the hottest hyper-personalization products. And I'm very happy to welcome Saranya to this podcast. Welcome, Saranya.
Thank you, Padmini. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. And hey, everybody. So good to kind of connect with you all.
Perfect. So I think before we get started to talk about hyper-personalization, and I'll make this a free-flowing discussion, I wanted to say you've been around in the Valley pre-AI, right? So what did you see then, and what are you seeing now, and how is that whole hyper-personalization world shifting?
So yeah, it's been very interesting because AI actually has been around for like even before I was born, I believe. But I think it picked up steam and people found use cases for it like much more recently. But if we kind of, I think we can look at a couple of milestones, right? Like ChatGPT, I would say was like one, the advent of ChatGPT and the LLMs, I would say is like one major milestone. And I think it's the most recent one that put a spotlight majorly on AI. So, and then it has also existed before that. In it, I think the first use case was like the predictive analytics, right? Where it's not just not just like B2B SaaS, but if you look at like any stock market predictions and like anywhere there's a lot of data and people were making predictions based on data, be it which lead would be your best converting lead, or which customer would be your next best renewal, or which stock would be the one you should bet. Like all of these questions. At the core of it, in the back end, people were using AI. So AI has been around for a while, but I think the most recent one took it to the masses, right? Like took it to my son, right? Like who's in high school. And I think it became so accessible, it put a spotlight. But I would say if we take this LLM as the bigger milestone, because that's the one that actually took it to the masses, I think in terms of before and after, it definitely, I think that one made a huge, bigger impact, at least in the marketing world, than any of the previous ones, because the previous ones were in the back end, and people were experiencing the efficiency or like the benefits of it. But this one is in the front end, like front and center. So yeah.
As you said, it took it to the masses, or it commoditized the whole process, right? And I think it's the ease of it. It's the ease with which now you can do things. And that kind of cuts into the next question about, all these hyper-personalization campaigns now have completely gotten disrupted. So, what used to take months to set up as a campaign and kind of deliver and measure is now can be done in a couple of minutes, right? So what's your take on that? And I have a follow-up question after that.
Yeah, look, the whole personalization or hyper-personalization, I think, is probably one of the oldest and most primal, approach that it actually comes from the animal kingdom, right? It's not even like humans, right? It's a very basic thing of how you kind of try to learn, when you communicate something, instead of communicating based on who you are, you package it based on who the audience is. And I think it's a very, very like oldest, one of the oldest kind of traits, right? The access to the number of signals that are available to us, I think that has exploded in the last, I would say in the last as far as marketing is concerned. Just the signals available has like export. That was the first revolution, because before that it was like billboards, spray and pray, right? Like, I don't know who you are, but let me guess. But I think the availability of signals with these digital advertising, everything, like that was the first revolution, changed the game. But then still there was a technical block, which is okay. Yeah, I have all these signals and I know everybody, but then do I have the effort? Do I have the time and the money and the bandwidth to actually then personalize it to all of these people based on all of these signals? I think there was like a effort um, barrier. Okay, so then I think what this has done is with all these AI, especially in generative AI, I think for the first time, you're actually able to overcome that and actually give like a one-to-one. I mean, if you look at it today, right, we're all actually living in our own universes. Like the reels I watch are different from the reels you watch. The internet I experience is very different from the internet you experience.
You're so right. You're so right. We are on the same platforms, like Netflix, same platform, but different content.
Exactly.
Instagram, same platform, but different reels, right?
Exactly.
Like super micro personalized. So I understand, like, I want to get into a little bit about the funnels, right? So we talk about top funnel, which is like driving awareness and kind of all your dynamic ads that you just mentioned come into that realm. But then if you cut into the mid and bottom funnel, right, where you want to send targeted prospect messages to your prospects for conversion, whether you're it's PLG led or whether it's enterprise sales led. How do you think hyper personalization is helping that? I mean, this whole ABM movement is happening, right? Do you think hyper personalization and that is connected, or is it two different motions? What do you think about that?
I mean, the philosophy is the same, but they're not exactly the same, right? Because I think there is a lot of data available, and the data explosion came a little bit earlier than people actually could figure out what to do with the data. So they're like, some people have tried like stuff like, oh, hey, like first name, and then it like just creep people out. But I think the account-based marketing is just like one way you use the data, which is, oh, if I know which account they're from, then maybe I can customize a message to their like industry and whatnot. I think that really works at like maybe the top of the funnel, because like, and of course, if I'm in finance, I don't want to hear about like, I'm not going to even look at like anything that's like talking about healthcare, right? So I think there is a place for it in the funnel. But as you go down, I think it's mostly based on the user behavior. So for example, if I'm someone who is an expert in the tool and I come in, I know exactly my way around and I'm already doing it, then I probably need some set of I'm looking at for answers for a set of questions that are more advanced, right? Than if I'm just like a surface, level user and I'm coming in, I'm looking for I have different questions. So I think the next best, action, or the next best signal that I need is different based on who I am, my maturity level, like my prior behavior with the product. Like sometimes I go into some products or even like the funnels, and I see that they're asking me questions that they already should be knowing or like completely relevant.
Yeah, that cuts into so well into in-product analytics and the heat maps and looking at all the data that the users are, how they're using the product, right? And then kind of bringing that intelligence back and trying to create content and campaigns and stuff around it and then surfacing out to them. And that could be as micro as one-on-one, right? Now with AI.
It has to be, right? The thing is, it doesn't have to be one-on-one. Like it is one-on-one as a user that I'm experiencing it. But the thing is, you can actually bucket your users, right, into like, I don't know, like 10 segments or whatnot. Like you can start with, excuse me, 3 segments, just cluster them based on like, their journey. Like, and you can also like start a journey that's like just 2-3 steps, and then you can get to 100 steps later.
Right. There's another topic I want to touch on, and that's social listening and data from the CRM systems and marketing automation systems. Very different from in product, right? But I'm hearing a lot more about that and how that's kind of getting integrated into campaigns, right? My question to you is that will be very different from like the in-product flows, right, in terms of campaigns. But how can that be unified to work in cohesion so that you can create more intelligence? Does that make sense, the question?
Look, ideally, all of your signals have to be like kind of looked at in a unified manner, right? But in many companies, the reality is that different parts of this funnel are owned by different teams. They have different goals and OKRs, and they don't prioritize each other. So as a whole, it's a little bit broken. Let's say there is a trial that's coming in. So but at this particular company, we had trials
Mm-hmm.
that were feeding the sales team, but the product itself had become an enterprise product and was not like very discoverable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we would do is we actually kind of had a mix of PLG and sales led, like PLG at the top funnel and then sales led at the bottom funnel. When the sales rep, right, like this is a very it's a customization built in Salesforce, which is when a sales rep logs in, they get like the next best lead to call, right?
Yeah.
And the next best lead usually is based on if someone is in the product right now working, that shows up as number one. So they had connected a signal from the product into Salesforce, where if someone is already in the product, then they're thinking about it and they're likely to actually respond, versus if someone is like off in their lunch break, right? Or working on the meeting, right? So
Yeah.
that was, I thought, was brilliant, but it required us, the team had done a lot of plumbing to, it was a very customized version of
Right.
Salesforce. Like this is not
Right.
available out of the box.
Right.
So those type of things, I think if you're able to connect everything together.
So I'll cut into the data run, right? So I know there's a lot of data that's required to do all this intelligence and plumbing. Now, and some of the guardrails and governance around that, because there is so much of regulation and stuff that we need to worry about as enterprises when we are looking at all these data at scale, and yet be efficient with all of the campaigns, right? So how do we manage that tight act or balancing act?
Look, I think this is a problem that we actually haven't been solved for the pre-AI world. Now with AI, at
Mm,
least previously there was like technology barriers. So like if you see a video, like okay, so there's a video, okay, so there has to be some truth in it. They can edit it so that like they can put something with each other to make something that is not true. Like for example, they could put like a video of what someone said like 6 months ago and
yeah,
like something they said now and put it together to make it look like false. But now you can just make them say things and it looks so real, and this has
yeah.
gone like crazy, right? You
Different
can
level.
just there is it's I think this is a very very dangerous
An open
time.
space. I know, I know.
Yeah, everything like you can win elections, right? You can like basically it has very high impact and
Yeah, yeah,
everything, right? Like basically you are thinking of people's trust as your stock to like buy, right? Or whatever your goods to kind of buy, and
yeah,
you're able to
yeah,
buy
yeah.
it very easily with very little effort, like with just like one line
Blind.
description of what you want,
Yeah,
and you're able to buy it.
yeah.
Like
Scary.
previously people had to pump in billions of dollars
Exactly.
to buy that trust, right?
Yeah,
At mass, at
yeah,
scale. Now
yeah,
it's very easy to buy it. Like
yeah.
just
I want to bring up the topic of that human in the loop and the need for that governance layer, that overlay, to prevent the betrayal of trust to some extent, right? And I wanted to hear from you and your opinion on how that market will evolve, right?
look, I think that's going to be the next hottest market. Like to be very honest,
Mm.
I think that's the next big one, the governance, because the thing is, it's becoming more and more dangerous because now there is like if you look at it, previously there was like no automation to like one layer of automation with a human, so the human can always monitor that.
Yeah,
Now it's become two layers, right, of automation, which means like so there is like let's say like one layer of automation, then there's like agents who are like then routing that to this layer, so then there's two layers.
right.
So it's hard to figure out what's going wrong where, who's going rogue or whatnot, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Still, and then like think about it, right? Like now if we're let's say automating like the first level tasks with an agent, and then you have like the manager agents who are like then able to take like the second level problem and then dissect it and route it to the right agents. Then you have like the director level agents who are like taking like the bigger level problems, and then you have like a whole organization.
Correct,
We're replicating the organization with agents.
correct.
But the thing is, it's all automation, right? Like at some point, uh, everything can kind of, if there is one factor of hallucination,
Yeah,
it just becomes exponentially higher and higher, right?
yeah,
Because they're all learning and then they may be learning the wrong thing. So And then there's nobody to monitor that because it's all just agents, right? So I feel the important thing is we're building these, right? So it's important for humans to always stay ahead of that, like one step. And I think we're always going to bring the human to take that spot of like the one step ahead.
Correct.
But then slowly that one step ahead will be taken by the machine. That you have to find the next step ahead.
Constantly evolve.
So I think our that's going to be evolving constantly, that next step ahead, because everything, like, look, we, as much as we believe that our intelligence is like unreplicatable, I think if people actually really go and try to use the LLMs for like some of the decisions, the complex decisions that we make every day, you will be mind blown, right? Like you'll be blown away as to how much more intelligent these things have gotten. So I think I can tell you right now, from the way it's acting, it's more intelligent than 90% of the population at least, right?
I was joking with someone last week saying that the one need that will not change as long as humans are there. I mean, I don't know about humanoids, but when humans are there, there'll be food. And so, better to get into organic farming and use AI for that. But it's just one of those things, right? Like, as humans, what can we do to impact when there's technology coming at that speed? Well, anyway, this is interesting. I will leave some time to talk about, what you're working on currently as one of the products, right? It's one of the hottest products in the market, and it's kind of in that MarTech space and making a lot of impact. So I want to ask you how you're using the whole LLM space and technology, what platforms, and how you're building this, and what can we as users expect from a product like that.
Yeah, so we were born, like Instapage was born, and it exists to actually, help people with this hyper-personalization, right? That's our like whole core of the value proposition.
Yeah.
When Instapage was founded, before Instapage and like, some of the pioneers in the space, this was a problem that required you to be a developer to solve, right? So then from there, we took it to marketers who were non-technical, they were not developers, right? I think that was like a big leap at that time. Now what we're seeing is like, okay, marketers are fine. Now we have to look at like just non-marketers, like, just business people, someone who's trying to start a beauty, a beauty store, or like, non-technical business owners, if we could like kind of make it even simple for them, because everybody does want to do marketing.
Yeah.
And marketing doesn't have to be, marketing also has developed a lot of like become very technical, right? More and more technical. And I think that has kind of taken some of the benefits away from the masses, I feel. So kind of taking it, kind of making more and more available to the masses. I think that's where we are also moving. Okay. For example, like even like experimentation, like principles of experimentation, hyper-personalization. Personalization goes hand in hand with experimentation, because it's always like you start with a guess. It's hard to predict 100% about yourself, right? Your next move, and claim, to predict your users, like, to claim to know your users, it's like you can only guess. But I think experimentation is what's going to help you actually validate and kind of get you to like a more certainty, right? With the LLM and everything, look, that's the way we see it is it's another technological advance to achieve, like, do these things with, by taking away the technical skill barriers and effort barriers and cost barriers that have kind of kept these benefits from flowing to the masses. I think LLM is, it's really opened up. I see a lot of startups coming in that space. So we're also focusing on that. We'll do whatever our customers need to do. We already have, like, last 2 years, we already have like a copy AI, so you can like use LLM to like redo your AI. We have experimentation that's also based on AI, so automatically it'll route the traffic to the right variation based on like their behavior and whatnot. So there is a lot coming here to kind of make it simpler for people, but also to be able to kind of experience more and more of the power and more of the benefits. So that's where we're headed.
Awesome. Very nice talking to you, Saranya, and thanks for joining us today. And for everyone else, we'll see you in the next podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Farhan.